Well, I'm hot. That's sufficiently gross. Let's go see where the river takes us. Halifax, Nova Scotia is located in the unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq. Not long ago, the land was forested, a place for wildlife, a terrestrial and marine sanctuary that Indigenous peoples called home. Now developed, roads and highways were laid down to connect point to point, to expedite our lives, to shuffle workers from one end of the watershed to the other. With increasing extreme weather events and constant urban sprawl, the Lower Sackville watershed has been overtaken. I want to paddle from the tributaries to the ocean and assess this little river for myself. Starting at the head of the watershed, what might a flooding scenario look like? Pretty enough. The upper reaches of the little river are mainly undeveloped. However, the lower reaches have become heavily urbanized. Its once permeable surfaces that absorbed and slowed the stormwater now shed any new rainwater through a series of man-made ducts, culverts, drains, and catch basins. This little river used to be used for the lumber industry. In fact, it still is. The bustling lumber yard sits right on top of the headwaters, and as a result, the Lower Sackville community has spread around the little, dirty river. I can't imagine the toxins and chemicals that have accumulated over the years. There's some serious beaver activity. I don't know what I expected to find. Dead fish? Unlikely. They probably couldn't make it past that mill. Junked cars? Who knows? Although someone once told me that the cat-o'-nine tails are a sure sign of pollutant runoff to any body of water. Sheesh! I'll be walking through some serious chemicals. That's about Although the initial exploration was beautiful, Halifax's municipal engineers have identified that all the neighboring communities are at great risk of flooding, where water levels have risen almost 3 meters after heavy rains. Let's see that. Where's Dalhousie River? Checking out some under-street culverts, some bridges, and we're gonna see how far we can go after that little lumber mill. This is a pretty slow-moving river. All the drains are clogged with trash. It's no wonder it's floods. It's beautiful. In Sackville, there are few anthropogenic impacts to the natural shape of the river. Development has done a pretty good job of circumnavigating the river itself. Yet, this is interesting because it means that flooding still occurs outside of the natural river channel. Flooding in a floodplain is a natural phenomenon. Like any floods above average, like the ones that are occurring more often, actually carve a natural floodplain into the landscape. So there was an engineering analysis. Engineers analyzed the Lower Sackville watershed. There were only 4 structures that directly impeded the passage of the water. Let's see. There were Beaverbank Road, right there, Beaverbank Crossing, and then all the roads along the Little Sackville River. Of course, this doesn't include all the impermeable surfaces like pavement and parking lots that all impede the passage of water. The natural floodplain is even more complex. These floodplains were likely built over 10,000 years ago, when the last Ice Age glaciers were redividing. The meltwater surged through the landscape, shaping the floodplains we see today. The good thing is, for this little river, the right conversations around climate change and increased community interests in topics like sustainability and liability are happening. Of course, maintenance fees are increasing, and the general reduction of funding for infrastructure projects has compounded the effects of stormwater damages. The recommendations about adapting the flood lines drawn out in this report are to implement things like stormwater infiltration and the best practices to create low-impact development, increase the channel capacity through river restoration, and to purchase properties at risk, as well as develop some flood protection infrastructure. Studies that have gone into mapping the Sackville River floods were all conducted by the Halifax Regional Municipality. They communicated the results and implications of their studies, and I have done my best to briefly disseminate the key information through this little video. The HRM will continue to share flood risks, emergency procedures, and a variety of flood-proofing techniques. Also, for the sake of tech-savvy residents, warning systems can provide flood forecasting and will be valuable tools to increase public safety. The next steps are to simultaneously engage all relevant stakeholders while assessing the vulnerabilities of land use, infrastructure, and services like walkways and green space. Whoever's doing work. Look at that.